She was already there when I pulled into my driveway, the WA woman everyone warned me about. Arms crossed, phone in hand, standing right in front of my garage like she owned the place. I barely parked my Porsche before she yelled, "You can't keep that car here. It violates community rules." I looked around, confused. My house sat on a private lot, just outside the main WA boundary. "Ma'am, this isn't WA property," I said calmly. But she wasn't listening. She took a picture of my license plate and said, "We'll see what the officers say about that." 10 minutes later, 2 men in black uniforms showed up. No marked car, no real badges, just attitude. One of them barked, "Sir, step away from the vehicle. This Porsche is being impounded for WA violation." I almost laughed. Impounded? By who? Karen smirked, like she'd just won the lottery. "By the community authority," she said, her voice dripping with fake power. My heart was pounding, not because I was scared, but because I knew something was off. Real cops don't act like that. Still, I played along. "Sure," I said, backing away slowly. "Can I grab the registration first?" The taller fake cop shrugged. "Make it quick." I walked to my truck nearby, pretending to grab papers, but instead, I opened the glove box and tapped the hidden camera button on my dash recorder. Every second of this was now being recorded. Karen started shouting to the men, "Hurry up. Tow it before he calls anyone." That's when the fake cops hooked the Porsche to a truck that clearly wasn't official. My blood boiled, but I stayed calm. I had learned long ago that patience wins bigger battles. Because what they didn't know was who I really was. One of the men looked uneasy. "Ma'am, maybe we should go," he muttered. Karen snapped, "Do it. He's just another arrogant homeowner." I took one slow step forward, my voice steady but cold. "You're making a big mistake," I said. "This property isn't under your jurisdiction, and neither am I." Karen laughed. "Oh really? And who are you supposed to be?" I looked her straight in the eyes and said quietly, "Someone you really don't want to mess with." And in that moment, I saw the first flicker of fear cross her face, just before real sirens started echoing in the distance. Viral line. She sent fake cops to steal my car, but she had no idea I was the real law. The sirens grew louder, cutting through the cold evening air. Karen's smirk began to fade as flashing blue and red lights reflected off my Porsche. The 2 fake cops froze, their confidence draining away like water from a cracked bucket. The real deputies stepped out, hands on their belts, eyes scanning the scene. "What's going on here?" one asked. Karen instantly switched tone, sweet, innocent, fake as ever. "Officer. Thank God you're here. This man's breaking law rules, and these are our enforcement officers." I didn't say a word yet. I wanted to see how far she'd take the lie. One deputy looked at the men standing by the tow truck. "Which department are you from?" he asked. The taller one stammered, Private enforcement, special unit." "Special unit?" The deputy frowned. "Never heard of that." He took a step closer, hand resting on his holster. The shorter fake cop began sweating. Karen quickly jumped in, "They're authorized by the Homeowners Association." "Ma'am," the deputy cut her off, "impounding a vehicle is a law enforcement action. HOAs can't do that." That's when I stepped forward, slow and steady. "Deputy, if I may," I said, pulling a leather wallet from my jacket. I flipped it open just enough for the badge to glint in the light. "Marshal's office. These guys aren't law enforcement. And she's trying to steal my car off federal land." The silence hit like a hammer. Karen blinked. Her mouth open but no words coming out. The fake cops looked like they wanted to disappear. One of them muttered, "Wait, you're a marshal." I nodded. U.S. Marshal Service. "You two just impersonated officers on recorded federal property." The deputies immediately changed tone. "Sir, we'll handle this from here." They turned to the men. "Hands where we can see them." Both fake cops raised their hands, one of them shaking. Karen tried to back away, whispering, "I didn't know." I cut her off. "You knew. You made the call. You wanted my car gone because you didn't like who parked next to your flower bed." Her voice broke, desperate now. "It's not like that. The law told me. There is no law jurisdiction here," I said quietly. "You forged authority to harass your neighbors." As the deputies cuffed the fake cops, Karen kept mumbling excuses, but no one was listening anymore. I could have walked away right then, but something told me it wasn't over yet. People like her don't stop, they double down. And I was right. Because when they loaded the fake cops into the cruiser, Karen glanced at my dash cam, and I caught the flicker of panic. She knew it had everything. The footage, the voices, the fake badges, and her. But what she didn't know, was that she had already gone one step further than she could ever come back from. Viral line. She thought calling fake cops would scare me, but now the real law was standing beside me. Karen didn't sleep that night, I could tell because her porch light stayed on till dawn. I thought maybe she'd finally learned her lesson, but I was wrong. People like her don't accept defeat, they plot revenge. The next morning, as I was getting ready to head to work, I saw her again, standing on the curb with a folder in her hand, talking to someone inside a black SUV. She looked calmer this time, too calm. When the SUV left, she waved at me with a fake smile. "Morning," she shouted, like nothing had happened. I didn't reply. I just locked my gate and drove off. But halfway down the road, I noticed a white van following me in the mirror. No markings, tinted windows. It trailed me for a few miles, turned when I turned, slowed when I slowed. My instincts kicked in, the same instincts that had kept me alive in more dangerous places than this. I pulled into a gas station and parked by the pumps. The van kept going, or so I thought. When I came back out, there was a small paper under my windshield wiper. It was a notice of violation, with the HOA logo, and at the bottom, in bold letters, "Vehicle will be confiscated under Section 12B. I laughed under my breath. She was doubling down again, but the stamp on the notice wasn't an HOA seal. It was a fake one, copied from an old online form. I took a photo, sent it to a contact at the county office, and drove home. That evening, I came back to find my front gate open. My stomach dropped. The garage lights were on, and my Porsche, gone. I ran inside, checked the cameras, and there it was, the same white van, pulling up at noon. Two men got out, faces covered, moved quick. One of them held a clipboard with that same fake HOA logo. And right there, at the edge of the frame, was Karen, watching from her porch, holding her phone, recording like it was some kind of victory. I called the sheriff's department immediately. Within minutes, a deputy friend confirmed the van's plates were registered to a towing company that didn't exist. "This isn't just harassment anymore," he said. "It's organized theft." But what Karen didn't know was that I had already planted a GPS tracker inside the Porsche, standard issue for field operations. I could see exactly where it went. The signal stopped moving on the far edge of town, at an old warehouse. I stared at the blinking red dot on my phone and felt that old familiar calm take over. She had no idea the game had just changed. Viral line. She stole my car twice, but this time, she didn't realize I was already tracking her every move. I parked a few blocks away from the warehouse, engine off, lights dimmed. It was quiet, too quiet. I could hear the faint hum of machinery inside, like a tow lift running slow. My Porsche's tracker pulsed steady on the screen, right in the middle of that building. I called dispatch quietly. "This is Marshal Lewis. I've located a stolen vehicle, possible impersonation and organized fraud. Need a local unit for backup." The operator's tone sharpened. "Copy that, Marshal. Units are on the way." I waited, watching. Then a figure appeared at the side door, Karen. She was pacing, talking fast to someone on the phone. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw her face, that same smug confidence from before. When the police cruisers turned onto the street, their lights off, I moved closer. The first officer whispered, "We've got eyes on the suspects." The back door opened, and two men rolled my Porsche out on a dolly. The same fake cops from before, out on bail, apparently. Karen clapped her hands like she was sealing a deal. "Get it loaded before anyone shows up," she hissed. That was enough. I stepped out of the shadows and said, "You really didn't learn, did you?" She froze, eyes wide. "You." The two men turned, panicked. One of them reached into his pocket, but before he could move, the officers swarmed in, guns drawn. "Hands up. Now." The whole scene erupted, shouting, flashing lights, handcuffs snapping. Karen screamed, "I didn't do anything. They told me it was legal." I walked up to her slowly, the Porsche gleaming behind her under the warehouse light. "You staged a fake impound, hired criminals, forged legal documents, and trespassed again," I said. "That's not legal, Karen. That's federal." Tears welled up in her eyes, but she still tried to stand tall. You think you're some hero. She spat. You think the law makes you better than everyone. I leaned in just enough for her to hear me over the noise. No, I said quietly. The law makes me accountable. You should have tried it. The officers read her rights as they took her away. One of the fake cops started shouting that she made them do it, that she paid them cash. It all came pouring out, every lie, every message, every fake form. As they loaded her into the cruiser, she looked back at me, still trying to save face. You can't prove it was me. I held up my phone. The dashcam footage was playing on screen, her voice, her face, every second of it. Karen, I said, I don't need to prove anything. You already did that yourself. Viral line. She built her power on lies, and forgot I enforced the truth. The sun was rising when I finally drove my Porsche back home. The sky was soft orange, the air calm, the first quiet I'd felt in days. The neighbors stood on their porches, whispering, watching the same woman who used to patrol their lawns now sitting in the back of a squad car, hands cuffed, pride shattered. One man from down the street walked up to me. Heard you're some kind of lawman, he said softly. I nodded. Used to keep it quiet, I replied. Didn't think I'd need the badge in my own neighborhood. He looked toward Karen's house, shaking his head. She bullied half this street. Glad someone finally stood up to her. I didn't smile. Justice isn't about feeling good, it's about setting things right. I looked at my house, the same one she tried to claim wasn't mine. The American flag on my porch moved in the morning wind, and for the first time, I felt the weight of what that meant again. Later that day, a local news van showed up. The reporter asked me, why? Didn't you reveal who you were earlier? I paused, thinking about it. Because power means nothing if you use it for revenge, I said. But sometimes, you have to remind people what real authority looks like. Karen was charged with impersonation, fraud, and conspiracy. The fake cops turned on her fast, trading everything for lighter sentences. The HOA issued an apology letter to every resident, claiming she acted alone. But everyone knew the truth, she was the HOA. She'd made herself the judge of everyone's life, until her own rules turned against her. That evening, I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee, listening to the crickets and the hum of peace returning. Across the street, Karen's house was dark, empty. A for sale sign leaned against her mailbox. I looked at the flag again and said quietly, I didn't fight for this country to be told I can't park in my own driveway. Then I smiled, just once. Because this wasn't just about a car. It was about a principle, one that every real American understands deep down. Freedom doesn't need permission. Final viral line. They tried to take my car, my land, my peace, but they forgot one thing: you can't steal freedom.